The new purefiction narrative analysis for version 3.3 is here. This time we'll be featuring Argenti and Big Bug as its final boss. In this guide, I'll tell you what team you should use, which buff suitable for each teams, and which monster you should focus to kill first. Make sure to watch it till the end so you can guarantee 3 stars in this pure fiction. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to host a giveaway for my subscriber if this channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Let's start by looking at how to gain grit value other than killing enemies to enter the surging grit state. This time, after using ultimate to attack enemies, we will gain 5 grit value for every enemy target hit. The unconcordant truce for this pure fiction will give all allies 1 stack of resound every time an enemy target is defeated by any unit. After gaining a total of 100 grit value, we will enter the surging grit state. Entering this state will consume all resound. Each stack of resound will deal 1 instance of damage to a random enemy target. Damage taken by all enemies in this state will be increased by 50%, and we will gain additional stack of resound every time the enemy is defeated by any unit. The resound stack will be consumed upon reaching 10 or higher stacks, which then will deal 1 instance of damage to a random enemy target per stack. Let's now move on to the buff available on this pure fiction. Universality buff will give 3 grit values for every enemy hit by our ally skill. Using this buff during surging grit will give speed increase to all allies by 40%, and recover 1 skill point when all resound is consumed. The second buff, Paradox, will give 3 grit values for every enemy target that becomes weakness broken from allies' attack. Using this buff will make all allies able to reduce toughness when attacking enemies that don't have the corresponding weakness type. But the reduction will be 50% of the original toughness reduction and cannot be stacked with other ignore weakness type. Additionally, break damage received by enemy targets will be increased by 30% during surging grit. The last buff, Divine Score, will increase all allies' damage dealt by 60% for 1 turn after consuming all resound stack. Yes, I know. The last buff kinda short, concise, and clear. For the ultimate buff, you can use characters that can either spam their ultimate or hitting 5 enemies with their ultimate. For the universality buff, you can use characters that rely on their skill and can attack 5 enemies for each skill usage. For the Paradox buff, Rappa and Lingsha Super Break is the safest choice. Super Break Hime KO is usable if you pair her with Mini Herda on the first node. For the last buff, Divine Score, characters that move slow like Tribi, Robin, and Yunli can benefit well despite of the 1-turn buff duration. But I suggest to choose the other buff since this buff doesn't give any grit value since you need to enter surging grit state first to able to consume all resound stacks. On the first node, our final boss will be Argenti with his summons. We will be facing Wraith Warden, Black Tide Decrepit Bow, and Trash Can on the first wave of first node. In this first phase, you should focus on defeating the Warden first, since their attack can gives the buff that can delay your character action by 70% and renders said character unable to act for 1 turn. The Bow Black Tide can apply corrosion. You can remove the corrosion either by hitting as many enemies as you can or healing it using your healer. After the corrosion is removed, that said character will obtain 50% damage boost for their next attack. The Trash Can deal massive amount of damage, but won't give any annoying debuff so you can target it last. For the second wave, our enemies will be Black Tide Council, Ballesterius, and the Ascended. The Black Tide Council cannot be the primary target for any attack after they enter lurking state. But in this state, they will take increased damage, and this state will be cancelled upon becoming weakness broken. Which mean you can still attack it using AoE or blast type attack. The Ballesterius only do 6 random attack, so you can use them to generate energy for your characters. The Ascended will be the main boss for second wave. All of her attacks apply wind shear to our characters, stacking up to 5 stacks. Her ultimate able to decrease our team's maximum recoverable HP by 30%. Don't forget to cleanse the debuff, unless you want to get killed by her wind sear. The last wave will be Argenti with his statue. Argenti can enhance his statues to be even stronger. You can use the Spear Dip's attack to regenerate your entire team energy since it will attack all characters. In the enhanced state, its damage will be even higher. Whenever we kill the Spear Dip, it will explode and deals physical damage and reduce physical toughness to its friendly unit. even higher damage if it was killed when in the enhanced state. The Honored has an ability that can increase Argenti's damage dealt. This buff can further be enhanced if the Honored is in enhanced state from Argenti. So focus your damage to kill this statue first. Killing the statue will also give damage boost to the attacker, even a higher buff if it was killed when in the enhanced state. If the Honored was killed by the Spirit of Explosion, you won't get the damage boost buff from the Honored. So make sure your character is the one who killed the Honored. On the second node, our final boss will be Swarm True Sting with its summons. For the first wave of the second node, we will be facing Furie Philosopher, Tide Eroded Blade, and another trash can. Like the other Black Tide monster, the Tide Eroded Blade can also apply corrosion to the attacked character. You can heal that character and get 50% damage boost for the next attack after removing the corrosion. For the Titankin Furie Philosopher, it can enhance the speed and damage dealt of one enemy targeted by it. But if it was killed by our character, the attacker will get a speed and damage dealt buff. By the way, the Philosopher also has stacks called War Armor that can decrease their damage taken. It will lose 1 stack upon being attacked. After all stacks are depleted, it will regenerate energy to last character that destroy the War Armor. Destroying the War Armor will deal massive damage and delay the Philosopher action. Attacking it while it has no War Armor will deal additional minor damage to it. The War Armor will be restored to maximum stacks at the end of the Philosopher turn. For the second wave, we will be facing Meteoric Eagle, Black Tide's Decrepit Bow, and Noontide Griffin. Meteoric Eagle has an ability called Storm Ride that grants 1 extra action for 1 enemy at the end of their turn. You can dispel this buff by making said enemy with Storm Ride weakness broken. Another Black Tide monster that can boost our next attack upon removing its corrosion debuff. Noontide Griffin will be the boss for this wave. It has 2 attacks that can apply Aquila's mark to our character. Character that has 2 marks will receive fire damage and loses energy. To remove this mark, we should kill any enemy using any character. If there are more than 1 character with this mark, it will prioritize to dispel the character that dealt the fatal damage. For the last wave, just focus on killing the baby bug. Every time it's killed, it will explode and deal vulnerability debuff to all remaining enemies. The debuff makes them take increased damage by 10% and can be stacked up to 10 stacks. We have seen the enemies we will be facing and the buffs available in this pure fiction. Let's move on to which team you can use to be able to clear both nodes. For the first node, you can use Universality buff with teams like the Herda, Mini Herda, Yunli, Argenti, and Hyper Carrion Naxa. All of them can also benefit from the ultimate buff, since their ultimate will hit 5 targets and their element match with the enemy weakness. Jingyuan is also usable on this node with same buff. You can pair Himeko and Mini Herda with the Paradox buff on this node too. Yunli, paired with Robin and the Divine Score buff is also usable on this node. For the second node, using Rappa and Lingsha's Super Break team with either Universality or Paradox buff will be an easy clear. Universality buff can be used by Castoris and Maide. Although Maide only a blast unit, the frequency of his attack, paired with Sunday and Branya double action advance and the speed boost from Universality can compensate the non-AO attack from him. What about Acheron? You can try using the Doctrine, using the Universality buff on both nodes. But don't forget to run Energy Rope on Kafka and Black Swan to get the benefit of ultimate buff. It's not necessarily impossible to complete pure fiction for other teams that aren't mentioned, but it definitely need better strategy and RNG to be able to complete it. If you watch from the beginning until now, I bet you can easily clear this pure fiction without hassle. If somehow you need help clearing the content, you can reach me out on my email for a free help. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.